Welcome to the Growth Fire Podcast, where we engage with top business leaders who share their experiences and provide real insights that help them attract customers, retain staff, and grow their bottom line. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hi there, my name is Kevin Horrigan, and I'm the host of the show, where I feature inspiring business leaders from various backgrounds and industries who are willing to share their stories and insights. This episode is brought to you by Spinutech. Spinutech is a digital advertising agency that has 165 team members across the United States, helping their clients attract new customers, grow existing, and ultimately be more successful. Thank you, Spinutech, for your partnership and sponsorship. And today, our guest is Shelia Reed. Shelia is the Business Engagement Strategy Lead at Ameritas. Sheila's career has spanned both the financial services and healthcare services, serving those organizations in both sales and marketing leadership, helping those companies identify the right brand and strategy, and helping those companies ultimately grow. Shelia, welcome to the Growth Fire Podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Excited about having our conversation. So Shelia, you and I have known each other for probably 20 years, but our audience doesn't know who Shelia is. Can you give us a little information, who you are, where you grew up, what do you want to do when you grew up, a little bit about yourself?
Well, that's always fun to answer, right?
Yes.
Well, Kevin, first of all, thank you for the chat today. I mean, for me, I think there's nothing better than to share knowledge and experiences, right? It's a big part of how we learn and consume information.
Yes.
For the best decision making, right? As we have that peripheral and surround sound perspectives. So as it relates to myself, I grew up in the South, but spent most of my career in business travels, coast to coast and globally. So I feel I've got a lot of kind of cultures under my belt. But I felt early on, as it relates to kind of what I felt I wanted to be and do when I grow up, which I still think I'm trying to get there. I'm still growing. That it was always very intriguing to me to work in just what I would refer to as situational problems. So I was always drawn to like businesses, right? What makes a business work? How did they come up with this business and the products and, the whole just kind of behind the scenes aspect of it. And I always said and just felt that I would be a good business owner. I didn't know what that meant or what kind of business owner. But, as I go fast forward, I see that I have spent my journey working across all types of businesses with the objective of growing brand and growth strategies. Maybe, one being my own business owner, but also working with, the Global 2000 and also small to mid-sized companies of all flavors and driving business strategies.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So Shelia, you've been around a lot of growth in companies you've been with before, both private and then those who've maybe taken on private equity partners and grown that way. Can you talk a little bit about the difference of when you're working for a private company and helping it grow, and then maybe after that growth partner comes in with some new capital and some new vision, what that transition looks like, and maybe talk about those experiences of what it was working for the private company, and then maybe how you had to adopt or advance in going with a company that's now has a partner.
Yeah. It's interesting across each, right? If you're, taking in some venture capital money and you're really trying to work on behalf of, returning what that investment was, for any type of investors, is much different, operation and mentality. But at the same time, there's a lot of similarity, because you're really doing the same as you think about within a corporate funded and public-based company and or a private corporate company, is that you want to be diligent and responsible to those same decisions. Although it may take a different look and feel to it, it may have different timelines. It includes different other aspects of the business that need to be taken consideration versus maybe some siloed work streams. But at the end of the day, what I have found is you're still, responsible for driving outcomes towards an effort that you're trying to achieve, whether it's growth, whether it's exit, whatever that situation may be. I personally have really loved, I've seen all aspects of it, and I really do enjoy the energy and the challenge as it relates to early entry businesses as it relates to, companies that are in, a midstream looking to grow, and they're kind of in a fork in the road. And which way do we make this happen? So those business strategies and really trying to, challenge the roadmap and the strategic direction of what is the best path to take is just a ton of fun. So,
Right.
and private equity backed businesses to this day is, the pressure's on. So there's more and more of that happening, especially as our economy is growing in small to mid-sized businesses.
Yeah, no doubt. And let's talk a little bit about that pressure. A lot of marketing leaders, there's a lot of pressure. There's an expectation of growth and responsible spend of where you're going to invest those growth dollars and the expected results that you're going to get on all of that. Can you share a little bit about what maybe some of the key performance indicators are that maybe help you track, where I'm spending money and how we're getting return back? Not necessarily the channels per se, but just maybe what you look at when you're evaluating strategy and then when you're implementing strategy and measuring it. Can you just give some ideas to the audience here about maybe what you look at and what you measure?
Sure. Measuring is absolutely top of mind. So everything we do, we tie some level of measurement, some more soft, some that are, more, harder measurements that are pretty black and white and direct. Every, kind of task or program takes on a different level of measurement, as we all know, right? And the efforts that we pursue. But in order to know where you're going, you got to track where you've been and what is happening and how all that's contributing to what you're trying to achieve. So we have a combination of areas that we lean on. So rather it's our business intelligence, BI tools, it's the tools within Salesforce, which is significant and broad, and Marketing Cloud is our marketing automation platform that we're currently actively using. Google Analytics, two other proprietary systems. We have our operational KPI metrics and what comes out of that area, all to guide us on retention, new growth, cross product lines, engagement, when and where that engagement is happening. All those kind of KPIs are really important to our decision making.
Yeah, no doubt that's very helpful. And as you're looking at growing new business today, not necessarily maybe cross-selling or upselling existing, but you look at new business focuses today, from your perspective, you and your peers, are you seeing this more of a marketing, inbound marketing, or an outbound marketing, or a combination of both? I'd be curious to know kind of what your experience and not only your own, but with some of your own peers. What are you seeing as being most effective in generating what we refer to as new logos? An inbound strategy, outbound strategy, combination of each?
Yeah, for me, my secret sauce has always been a combination, right? It's not one way. I've never gravitated towards, a one highway strategy. So, and especially as our universe is growing and becoming more complex, you've got to know when to dial it up as it relates to, digital and or dial it down and dial it up as it relates to traditional. And some of these things I call strategical. Some of these things, we call digital, right? I think that was maybe one word I've learned from you, actually.
Yes.
And because it is that combination that does make it powerful. In my particular situation right now, and what I'm focusing on, I'm very much in a cluttered market. Pretty much have always worked in a cluttered market as it relates to health and fintech companies. But that fintech space is crowded, right?
Yes.
And within fintech, we also drill it down to where my business strategies are focused on high asset driven retirement market plans, right? And when you think about this market, even though it's small, there's a tremendous amount of assets that are flowing through just the industry itself. I think I just took a quick little snapshot because it changes daily. It's reported that 32 trillion in assets are reported in Q3 2022 for retirement savings.
Wow.
That's a significant amount of number. And then you take that and you also consider that our nation is against a real retirement plan savings access and shortfall for savers, not having sufficient savings for retirement. So this is a real opportunity for marketers such as myself and companies that have core competencies in this space. We've got a lot to work with.
Yes.
It may be a cluttered market, but it's an open market.
Yeah.
Is really fascinating. So for us, we drill this down from a kind of a business strategy is to leverage what we call a segmentation strategy. And so that offers us those kind of guideposts, if you will, to markets and methods where we can be most effective and have a value proposition that is well received, versus being everything to everyone and trying to drive that competitiveness at the big box brands, which just isn't our focus on that particular area of the industry. One, because it's locked down, it's really monopolized. Two, we really want to look at data, and data is telling us that the growing markets are small to mid-sized businesses. You can look at any study research over and over and over, simply type it into a Google search, where's our economy growing? And it will tell you small to mid-sized businesses. And that projection changes somewhat from research that you find, but it's pretty consistent as it relates to the markets that are growing. And what we call those markets are the Main Street companies. And so we're really finding a niche to elbow our way into this crowded market, but one that we can serve well. And it's actually the growing market of our industry.
Yeah. And I heard some of the buzzwords I heard there, Sheila, was segmentation and specific messaging to that segmentation and not trying to be everything to everybody. I think that's a very important, nugget to share with everybody about the segmentation strategy, especially in such a crowded industry with a lot of big brands out there that have significant recognition. The segmentation space is helping you more razor focus on getting the right message in front of the right audience, maybe limited to scale on reach, but more effective on result.
You're right. And if I could just touch on just one more part of that based on what you just said, which is interesting, is that we've also, I feel we're doing a decent job in taking, a large marketing strategy that all of us can tap into, but really looking at it as it relates to what I refer to as programmatic marketing initiatives.
Yeah.
So one that are planned, they're organized, they're obviously integrated, and they're coordinated with the rest of the organization. And so when I go back into the labeling of kind of the area in which I serve is business engagement. So the power of that is to take, a single initiative and make sure that, someone that we would always refer to as an omni-channel strategy,
right,
but a business engagement strategy as well, so that this one thing, let's call asset, is touching every single, not only sales, but it touches our customer service center. It touches, all the different marketing channels. And it's more what I refer to as programmatic. And it's
right.
The most important thing that is really lifting us off the ground and helping us be even more effective is we do not pursue any type of marketing campaign, to say it that way, without a close alignment to outbound sales activity and relationship. That is hands down the key to our success. It has moved the needle by leaps and bounds. And we're literally seeing, and I've been in marketing my whole career, that matter of fact, this week I've just seen two, and that sounds minimum, but there's two that have crossed my desk from a simple email campaign, but it was reinforced so many different times, programmatic, right?
Right.
That we had a direct prospect that was barely doing business with us give us a call. Two different occasions, just based on, one element of a much bigger programmatic campaign design.
Right.
So it's just phenomenal to see how it really comes down the funnel, because many times we don't see that, right?
No, and it's impressive to hear you say that too. And I think you kind of started this conversation on this particular component here of just talking about, do you see this as an inbound strategy or an outbound strategy? You said I never, rely on just one channel. And then, to come for circle around is you're seeing, great success and an integrated campaign with what inbound and outbound being, attached to one another. And you won't do anything unless the inbound and the outbound are attached with a programmatic perspective, and to be able to get more, impressions on that. And in the same message from a segmentation perspective, you're seeing great results. And I think that's what the audience wants to hear. What are you seeing that's getting great results? And it sounds like segmentation, integrated outbound and inbound, programmatic approach to that, using some AI and things of that nature. are your phrase, they're moving the needle.
That's right.
Yep. So Sheila, those are all great nuggets to share. Not surprising, a few years back, you were named as the finalist for Chief Marketer of the Year against brands like we know Patron, Radio Shack, Patron Tequila, whatever that is, but Patron Tequila, just kidding. But those are huge brands. What was it in your career that you see that you could say, my gosh, I'm so lucky to be on the same stage as the chief marketing officer from Audi, Patron, Radio Shack. Tell us a little bit about your career and how you're able to, congratulations, be finalist for Chief Marketer of the Year of the Award in the United States.
Yeah, well, thanks for recalling that. It was definitely a highlight. That's for sure. It was very humbling. As at that time I was, pursuing, a private equity backed business where we just took in funding. We were really being scrappy. So it was a real challenging time. To have some of the work that we were doing, help elevate the team, happened to be recognized with that particular award for myself, was really crazy. But it goes back to what I feel has been consistent throughout my career. And one is that, as I'm working with other ways in which to pay forward and help drive the successors of all of our businesses, our future leaders, is, you gotta love what you do. So when you dig in and you're super passionate and, you really enjoy making things happen and, and you're creative and you just are constantly pushing, the throttle, because you love what you do. Right. And so for me, it was great work that was recognized, but it didn't change, my stripes are my stripes. And it's just kind of, how I've started my career and how I still live in my career.
So, what I heard there is
being passionate about what I do.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. The big nugget there is you're just passionate what you did. And because of that, you were very, intense on it, but enjoying the journey. And it got recognized by many organizations as being some of the best of the best. And from that, you were nominated for Chief Marketer of the Year award. And, there's only a handful of people, in this universe who've ever had that kind of recognition. And so that's pretty significant. Congratulations.
Well, I appreciate that. I need to get that plaque out and remember that more often. So I'm glad you're.
And I will put a plug in for Spinutech. One of those awards was Website of the Year, and so we had a great journey together for Website of the Year. Sure. And but I wasn't just winning the Website of the Year award. That's a nice plaque to have. But the results of what the brand was able to experience in that journey, that was the real reward, being recognized for those efforts. But that was a journey that we had together, and it was, like you said, I think it was two teams with passion, understanding what a common goal was, and being passionate and being committed. And the outcome for the organization, for the company, was amazing. And there was people out there who recognized that as being pretty over the top as well, and everyone got to celebrate with some recognition that is appreciated from time to time when you really accomplish those kind of results.
Yeah, you're right. And just to finalize that thought, that's the other, I think, important part, right, is partnership. The right kind of partnership, the right type of partnership that where you really have that rhythm, right? And it's trusting, and you can, get to so many different achievements in what you're trying to do when you do strike that right balance.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was a great journey. Sheila, I have two more questions for you. Have you had any mentors in your life that help you grow in your journey?
Yeah. Yes, I actually have, I would say, it's on one hand, I have exactly five mentors in my life. And all of them have been mentors for 10 plus years. Two of them dating back to my early career stage. So 25 years ago. I speak to them, a couple of them every week. And all five, I'm definitely, speaking to them throughout the year. These mentors have been really invested in me. I don't know if I was young and dumb at that point, or I was just incredibly smart, but it's what, I remember raising my hand with three of them, and I didn't know what I was asking for. I know now because, boy, I rode a hard road with them. But, if you just give me the opportunity, I won't let you down. And boy, they took that seriously, and they took me under their wings, and they gave me enough rope to practically choke myself. And they pulled me back, and they were able to choke me themselves. But it all worked amazing, because I wouldn't have the career I had today, I don't think, without their close connection, their dedication, and their real personal contribution to my success. So I really owe a lot to the whole, just having a mentor. I can't say it enough. I'm always sharing as it relates to when I work with career starts and, and some of my other programs that I'm involved in. And, that's one of the first things, this isn't something you take lightly. It's a very serious thing.
Right.
And it's a two-way street. It's not just you're receiving or receiving. It's just as much a commitment for yourself too. But these mentors have been so influential in my personal development as well as my career development. And it's the top, 10 things that I would give as a checklist to, like I said, people that are starting in their career, any stage in their career, to make sure that you've got the right mentorship program at arm's length.
It's that every guest I've had, that's a question I ask every guest, and the answer is the same every time. Mentors are such an opportunity for people to grow faster than without a mentor. And, sometimes mentors are intentionally mentoring, or a mentoree is intentionally seeking to mentor. And other times it maybe happens a little bit more passively, a little or less organically, but it seems as if every story of everyone's growth has been having mentors out there. And but it also, a common part too is, I think mentors don't mind giving back, sharing back, when they know the person that they're mentoring is going to be really fully committed. And I think you said too, it goes both ways, right? I think the mentor feels, the feedback that we have is the mentor continues to want to give because they see results of the person who's being mentored, and they see the hunger and the appetite and the curiosity and the admission of, I don't know everything, but I'm seeking out how to get it. And an opportunity to let the rope go a little bit long, and then maybe you'll yank it back. But that seems to be your journey seems to be common with everybody else's. About a mentor is certainly an opportunity of how to get growth rather than trying to figure it out on your own.
Yeah, I mean, spot on.
Sheila, last question I have for you is where do you find your source of new inspiration, knowledge? What do you is there people that you seek it from? You're reading, you listen to podcasts. Where are you getting your inspiration?
Well, I've always loved to learn by others, and I've always have felt observant of my surroundings, because I think those are real nuggets of inspiration, and real nuggets of where you need to derail, right? But inspiration for me has been within, and the opportunities that I have worked in. I feel very fortunate to have the exposure and the experience consistently all throughout my career journey. But as well, I talked about it earlier, was, I don't believe, and this may sound hokey, but I don't really think that I've ever woke up and said, I don't want to go to work today. Right. I mean, we all want a break, and we all want, but it's just not something, because I love what I do. And, so that passion has helped me have that common denominator that's just helped me carry through. That's why it's so important. I remember even as a kid in grade school saying, you really need to find something that intrigues you, that you want to do. And I'm not so sure that resonated back then, but it's so much is what life is about. So you've really got to, must go into a path that you enjoy.
Yeah, it sounds like, the success, your experience, part of growth is having a passion for what you do. And, if you have that passion, the growth you'll find, whether it be through mentors or through businesses that have significant need for growth, whatever it might be. But if you have a passion for it and you find the right opportunity, growth is going to come. But passion's a big fuel of that growth.
That's right.
Well, thank you, Shelia. We've been talking with Shelia Reed, Business Engagement and Strategy Lead at Ameritas. Shelia, if anyone wants to connect with you after they hear this podcast, what would be the best way they could reach out to you?
Yeah, LinkedIn is my place of connection. Certainly personal emails on LinkedIn is an easy way to get to me. Shelia, it's Lifelong Saga, Shelia. So you can find me there. I would love to connect and look forward to it. And thank you so much for, again, the opportunity to be here. It's just really great to be able to talk broadly but also, talk as it relates to some real kind of lessons learned and some points of nuggets that may resonate with someone.
I think they will. Shelia, thank you so much for being a guest on the Growth Fire podcast. We really appreciate your time, the insights you shared, and we wish you continued success on your journey.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Growth Fire podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.